Alright, going into a bit of detail on 3-point linkage, mainly because I've been doing a bit of work on this one. So really clever design. If it was too rigid, if you hit rocks or obstacles in the paddock, if you've got something attached to a 3-point linkage, the strain it obviously cause breaks. So there's a few features that enable a bit of movement. First ones are these knuckles here to allow sideways, forward and back movement, this way, and that's on both sides. We've also got the leveling box here, which is a typical screw, and what that does is you can change the angle. So for me, if I'm using a grater blade, I want to change the angle, I can very easily adjust it via the leveling box. On the lower link arms, we've obviously got our sway chain, which is connected up the back there, and that stops the lower link arms moving left or right. You can make them really rigid so that they don't move too much either way. An example is when you're towing a slasher, if you start to turn, it can wander a bit if things aren't too tight. You do want a little bit of movement there to give you a bit of a safety margin. If you hit something really rigid, you don't want to be snapping things off. Now the other thing with the Fordsons is we'll zoom in on it. Bear with me. Is on the bottom here, we've actually got a specialized pin that you can change to either give you some a rigid mount or a flexible mount. Case in point, that see how that in there, if I hit a rock or something, mainly if you're on a slasher, something like that, I got a bit of up and down movement, allow for that bounce. But if I'm towing a toolbar or a plough or something where I want rigid, I can pull it out, and there's actually, see if I can line it up, another hole there, and it becomes rigid. You can still buy these pins, see there, 2 different holes for the 2 different widths. Just like that. Now the other thing you'll notice is these lower link arms are unpainted like the rest of the tractor, and that's because I've replaced them. The old ones weren't, I don't believe, were Fordson arms, and if they were altered. As you can see, I've actually got 3 holes in this lower link arm. One for the sway chain there, one to connect to the lifting rods, and the third one here. This can be for implement attachments. I plan to get some eyelets in there so I can hold these a little bit further from the tyres. You see the ones that were on there, 2 holes, but a dirty great cut and weld on both arms. And you'll notice the other thing which is common with lift arms, very loose and worn eyelet. Not great condition, so I was very fortunate enough to find these original ones. And I'll put those on, and hopefully one day soon I'll paint them up to match the rest of the tractor. That's a little in-depth at the Fordson Major 3-point linkage. Till the next one.